The house felt empty the moment Emily left. Daniel stood at the doorway that morning, forcing a smile as her taxi disappeared down the street. They had promised to stay strong, promised to call every night, promised love would not change. Once the door closed, silence rushed in like cold air. The rooms were too quiet, the walls felt wider. Cave-in, the clock sounded louder than before. Days moved fast, but nights were slow. Daniel worked on his laptop for hours, trying to keep busy. When evening came, he heated frozen meals and ate alone at the table where Emily used to laugh and talk about her dreams. Their calls became shorter. Emily was always tired, always studying. Daniel understood, but his heart still felt heavy. Loneliness slowly became part of his routine. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. Daniel opened it and saw Linda, Emily's mother, standing with a warm smile and a pot of soup in her hands. "I thought you might be forgetting real food," she said gently. Daniel laughed, surprised but thankful. "You saved me." She stepped inside, and the house suddenly felt alive again. That first visit was simple. They talked about Emily, about her childhood, about how proud Linda was of her daughter. Daniel listened, feeling comfort he hadn't felt in weeks. Before leaving, Linda hugged him tightly. "You're not alone," she said softly. The next week she came again, then again. Soon her visits became normal. She brought food, stories, and warmth into the quiet home. They sat at the kitchen table for hours, talking about life. Linda shared how her marriage had ended long ago and how loneliness followed her even after her children grew up. Daniel spoke about missing Emily and feeling lost without her. They understood each other. And understanding slowly turned into comfort. One evening, rain poured outside, hitting the windows hard. The sky turned dark early, and thunder rolled in the distance. Linda was there again, sipping tea with Daniel. Suddenly, the lights went out. Power was gone. The house dropped into darkness. Daniel found some candles and placed them around the living room. Soft light filled the space, creating moving shadows on the walls. "It feels peaceful, Linda," whispered. Daniel nodded. Strange how quiet can feel warm when you're not alone. They sat close on the couch, listening to rainfall. For a moment, neither spoke. Their eyes met and stayed. Daniel felt his heart beat faster. Linda's breathing changed. Something heavy filled the air, something neither of them expected. Linda stood up quickly. "I should go," but she didn't walk away. Daniel didn't stop her. They just stood there, looking at each other, both knowing something had shifted. The rain kept falling. Finally, Linda took a step back. "This is wrong," she said quietly. Daniel nodded, though part of him didn't want her to leave. She grabbed her coat and hurried out. When the door closed, Daniel leaned against it, his chest tight. That night, sleep didn't come. His thoughts were full of confusion, guilt, and a feeling he didn't want to admit. The next day, Linda didn't visit. Daniel told himself it was for the best, but the house felt colder. 2 days later, she came again. They acted normal at first, talking about Emily, talking about weather, but something was different. Their words were careful, their glances longer. When Linda handed Daniel a plate, their fingers touched. Neither moved right away. They both felt it. She slowly pulled her hand back, her face nervous. "I shouldn't stay long," she said, but she stayed. They sat across from each other, silence between them again. "You've been very lonely." Linda said softly. "So have you," Daniel replied. Their eyes met once more. "You remind me I'm not invisible," Linda whispered. Daniel swallowed hard. "You remind me I'm not alone." They both looked away. No one spoke. Minutes passed. Finally, Linda stood up again. "This can't happen," she said firmly. "I know," Daniel answered. But neither truly believed it. From that day, their visits continued, but now filled with unspoken feelings. They laughed, cooked together, shared stories late into the evening. Nothing physical happened, but emotions grew stronger every time they were together. Daniel started waiting for the doorbell. Linda started finding reasons to come. Emily's calls became less frequent. And when Daniel spoke to her, he felt distant, like his heart was already drifting. One afternoon, Linda arrived looking upset. "What happened?" Daniel asked. "I saw pictures of Emily online," she said quietly. "She looks happy, surrounded by new friends." Daniel felt a sharp pain inside. "She barely has time for me anymore," he admitted. Linda sat beside him. People change when they move forward. Silence filled the room again. "Deserve someone who sees you," Linda said gently. Daniel looked at her. "So do you?" Tears filled her eyes. "I haven't felt close to anyone in years," she whispered. Without thinking, Daniel slowly took her hand. She didn't pull away. They sat like that, hands joined, hearts racing. No words were needed, but the moment felt bigger than both of them. After a few seconds, Linda gently pulled her hand back. "This is dangerous," she said softly. Daniel nodded. "But it feels real." "That's what scares me," she answered. From that moment on, their bond deepened. They shared dinners, watched old movies, laughed like teenagers, and talked about dreams they thought were gone. Emotional walls fell quickly. They were not just two people passing time anymore. They were becoming something more. One evening, Linda stood at the door before leaving. "Daniel," she said, her voice shaking, "if we continue like this, someone will get hurt." He knew she was right, but his heart wasn't ready to let go. "I don't want to lose you," he said honestly. She looked into his eyes. "And I don't want to betray my daughter." Tears rolled down her cheeks. They stood inches apart, so close. The moment stretched painfully. Daniel's heart pounded, but finally he stepped back. "We have to stop," he said quietly. Linda nodded, wiping her tears. "You're a good man," she whispered. Then she turned and walked away. The door closed, silence rushed back in. This time it felt unbearable. That night Daniel sat alone in the dark living room, thinking about everything that had happened. The loneliness, the comfort, the emotions he never expected. His phone buzzed. A message from Emily. "I've been thinking a lot," it read. "I don't know if we're growing together anymore. Maybe we're becoming different people." Daniel's hands trembled. The words felt like a knife. Stared at the screen, realizing the painful truth. While Emily was moving forward, his heart had found comfort in the wrong place. And though nothing physical had happened, something precious was already breaking. The silence around him felt louder than ever. And deep inside, Daniel knew this was only the beginning of something that could change all their lives forever.